Shadow of Maul #1 opens like a warning signal from the darkest corners of the Star Wars galaxy. Set after the Clone Wars, the comic dives into a cyberpunk underworld of syndicates, mercenaries, and corruption. Maul rules through fear and intimidation instead of armies. Red lighting, deep shadows, and neon cityscapes make him feel less like a man and more like a living omen. Every alliance feels unstable, every deal dangerous, and disaster always feels close. Page 1. Brander Lawson walks into this interrogation already irritated, already defensive, and the comic frames him like a man who knows he's trapped before the questioning even begins. The repeated wide panels create this uncomfortable silence between every line of dialogue. Then Lawson flashes his badge almost like a warning shot, before immediately demanding CAF instead of answers. It's a small moment, but it tells you everything about his attitude. Now the comic shifts fully into detective noir territory. Lawson's sitting inside this cold, sterile interrogation room, while internal investigation starts circling him like predators. Claravan Rule immediately brings up another dead officer, basically telling Lawson he's already a suspect. Even the lighting feels hostile here. Pale blue overhead lights, long shadows, and empty space around the table. Nobody trusts anyone anymore. A week earlier, the comic shows Janix at its most dangerous. Endless rain, towering neon streets, and a city that feels permanently exhausted. Lawson's warned to stay away from whatever investigation he's chasing, but he ignores every warning sign. Even the machines and security droids feel cold and suspicious. The phrase members-only club suddenly makes the city feel divided between people with power and everyone else trapped outside trying to survive. Even getting through a doorway requires membership scans and armed security droids watching every move. The second the scanner sparks, the tension spikes instantly. Then downstairs, the comic slows everything down again with that line. Bad night to be out walking the streets. Nobody here feels safe. Everyone looks like they're waiting for violence to erupt. Lawson enters another uneasy conversation disguised as casual small talk. The bartender's comments about poison and expensive tastes feel less like bar chatter and more like criminal code words. Janix operates on hidden meanings, favors, and threats nobody says out loud. Even the people in the background feel tense, like they know violence could erupt at any moment. This issue keeps building the feeling that the entire city is balancing on the edge of collapse. This page makes it clear that Lawson is operating inside a world built on coded language, bribery, and hidden agendas. Even simple conversations feel like negotiations between criminals testing each other for weakness. The mention of rare poisons and dangerous specimens hints that something far darker is moving beneath the surface of Janix. Meanwhile, the hooded figure silently waiting nearby keeps building the feeling that Lawson is already being watched and tracked. Lawson realizes too late that he's been poisoned. The bartender casually explains the venom is banned across most systems, almost enjoying the panic setting in. That's what makes Janix feel so dangerous. Nobody needs open threats because the violence is already built into every deal. The second Lawson reaches for his blaster, the entire scene shifts into survival mode. And that final line, "Perhaps I should come now," hints that someone even more dangerous is waiting nearby. Everything suddenly explodes into chaos. Lawson's bluff fails, the bartender attacks, and the mysterious figure Lawson called for finally arrives. The comic still hides their identity, but the shadow alone feels terrifying. Meanwhile, Lawson is scrambling just to survive as armed thugs close in around him. The repeated calls for two boots show he's completely outmatched and desperately waiting for backup before the entire situation collapses into a massacre. If you thought this part was intense, the next chapter gets even darker. Lawson is running out of allies, the streets of Janix are spiraling into chaos, and the shadow behind all of this is finally starting to emerge. The next part changes everything. More betrayals, more violence, and one reveal that completely shifts the entire story. Follow for part 2, because this is where Shadow of Maul truly begins.